Hi everyone, this is Christina with One Creative Direction. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a follow-up video to the one I released last week doing trials for a cell activator using Penetrol. Mentioned on that video, and these are the samples from that video that I did. And the results were pretty good. I can't complain. It was really difficult to get the paint to disperse in the center. It seemed to hang there. So as I indicated in that video, I wanted to adjust the recipe, which I did. And I'm going to show you some samples. I did some white samples prior to shooting this video, and I'll show those to you here shortly in the video. But I wanted to also do some black cell activator testing. In the previous video, I struggled with getting that black and ended up scraping the several attempts that I made with the first iteration of the recipe. So I wanted to try to swipe them rather than blow out. In this first part, I'm using Winsor & Newton with the adjusted recipe. And then the second sample I do is going to be the only other black color that I had on hand in like tube paint was the golden carbon black. And that's going to be the next sample that I do, and I'm going to do it exactly the same as this first sample with the Winsor & Newton. So overall, the swipe results weren't super impressive. I mean, obviously, the Winsor & Newton, I think, outperformed the carbon black in the swipe. I did end up, now those are the first samples that I did with the white recipe adjusted. One of them was the Winsor & Newton, and the other three samples that I showed were Amsterdam white, which I felt was less than impressive in every single sample, which is why I did three different ones. I still stick by my Winsor & Newton, even though I know a lot of folks use Amsterdam. I feel like it leaves a cloudy appearance. It leaves streaks and lines, especially when you swipe. And I feel like the Winsor & Newton is much clearer, like it breaks apart better on the top of the paints. So this is the second one using the carbon blacks on the swipe. And I'm going to show you at the end of the video all of the samples that I do up close, and I'll explain what each one of those is. I had some issues here with a huge air bubble when I swiped. That's what that big, huge white spot is on there. Wasn't too worried about it since these are just samples. And full disclosure, I ended up scraping these two swipes after I stopped shooting. They were okay. I just felt like the composition of them just wasn't great. I mean, there was some good cell development on them, but I really just wanted to trial the recipe using the swipes with both paints. So that was the Winsor & Newton, and that's the golden. So you can see the Winsor & Newton celled up a little better. So now I'm going to use the same color paints and the same two cell activators. The Winsor & Newton will be first, and I'm going to do a blowout. Sometimes your cell activators act different from a swipe to a blowout, so I wanted to test it that way as well. And since I had already done a swipe on the whites, I wanted to do both for this recipe on the blacks. The Winsor & Newton didn't do too bad, but it did, it was really stubborn in the center, like the white was. And I had trouble getting it dispersed. But overall, it did really well. It did eventually clear up and was fine. Now, this next one I'm going to do is the golden. And I will tell you, I was so surprised at how well this one did after using it for the swipe, and it just was so disappointing. I tell you, when I was blowing this out, it just reminded me of an Australian Floetrol blowout. There was so much lacing on this. I was super impressed. I'm definitely going to be testing some more maybe golden colors to see if all of the tube paints work well with this recipe for golden, because I was super impressed with it. So again, the two Winsor & Newton and the two golden.
Let me do it this way.
And I'm going to show a close-up, a top view at the end of the video, and then a dry result, so you can get a better idea. But overall, it was a really good experience. The adjusted recipe definitely did better. The only thing I changed was adding some GAC 800. And I'll put the full recipe in the description box, along with lots of other really good information.
Pull the camera down and
yeah,
get
I hope you enjoyed this this testing, and hope you join me for other videos, and stay tuned for the wet and dry results.
That'll be the end of the video.
Okay, so as promised, again, this is the Winsor & Newton swipe. Okay. And this is the golden swipe. Less than exciting, right? And this was the Winsor & Newton blowout. Not bad at all, actually. And this was the golden blowout. I really like it. When I was blowing on it, it looked a lot like Australian Floetrol. It definitely gives you a ton of lacing. See all this lacing here and here? And it just seems like the right consistency to blow across. It blew across the paint a lot better than the Winsor & Newton did. If you remember, the center of this was really hard to get that paint to disperse. It kind of sat in there for a while, but it did eventually bloom out. And as you can see, the gold, the deco art, that's why I like putting it down right before my cell activator, because you see it just kind of moves along with the cell activator. It makes it look like your cell activator is gold, right? Does the same in this one. So, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Here's an overview of all of them. Please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe and notification bell. Okay, guys, I wanted to do a really quick dry results because, you know, when I do trials, I want to make sure that the lacing holds up until it's dry. Sometimes you get a recipe and it just doesn't hold the cells, right? So I would say overall, it's very impressive. This is the golden, right? Oh, better be careful. It's not 100% dry. I'm going to ruin it. Some of them are 100% dry. A few of them have a few wet spots. But look at the lacing on that. And I did a few after I turned the camera off. I wanted to try some different colors to see if it reacted as well. These are all golden fluid acrylics. Reacted really cool with those. I don't know if it's because it's golden and golden. I don't know, but that one I believe was also the golden. This one I struggle with. I put way too much cell activator on it, so I didn't really care for that one. But the rest of these look amazing. I mean, so many cells, right? I mean, look at that. It's like covers the whole thing. I think this was the first one I did. This was the Winsor & Newton. Still not as bad, but I honestly really like the golden effect. So I have several golden, not the fluid acrylics, but golden heavy body paints. So I may try a few of those with that recipe as well. So thanks for joining me. Just wanted to do a real quick update on the dry results. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.